We got our first major release of the year, and we got CES. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, January 12th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, the first big release, I think most people would say this is the first major release of the year. The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a 2.5D brand new game in the Prince of Persia franchise, and it's off to what seems like a great start. The game doesn't come out actually until next Thursday, but the Metacritic score is already out. It's at an 86. And having read through a couple of the reviews, it looks like it sounds like it's a really good Metroidvania. It's really shaking up the potentially not just a general Metroidvania, but like adding on top of what already exists. The 2.5D nature of it, I thought, would add some pretty cool twists to it. But yeah, I'm hearing great things about the latest Prince of Persia game. Won't be able to play it. I think there might be early access. So I think people might have, general consumers might have access to it now, but for the rest of us, we might not be able to play it until later next week. And I've never been much of a Prince of Persia fan. That it was always on, I think, as I said last week, it was always on Sony, and I've always been an Xbox or Nintendo guy. So never happened to pick any of them up, but if this one plays well on some handheld console, I might pick it up there to play on either my Steam Deck or my Nintendo Switch. I wonder if it's on Switch. I don't know if it's on Switch or not, but yeah, if I can play it handheld, maybe I will pick it up. But if you are very excited for Prince of Persia, leave a comment down below, and I'm excited to see what people say about it. Moving right along, a game that's been around for, gosh, it's been a decade already. Smite, the godly MOBA, a game that you can actually play in third-person MOBA game that you can play, is coming out with a sequel. Smite 2 is coming out. It'll have all the same characters that you know and love from the original Smite. They'll be apparently working in parallel, so maybe you'll get Smite 1 content and Smite 2 content at the same time. I think the most part of what they're doing with Smite 2 is they're switching it to a new engine, which definitely makes sense. And the game looks freaking beautiful in the Unreal 5 engine. So yeah, I'm excited for Smite 2. I've played it both on PC as well as on console. Hopefully it'll have console at launch. I think there's going to be a closed or open beta in April. So hopefully that means that maybe sometime later this year we'll get a full reboot or full release of Smite, the second one. Yeah, I like I said, played it a lot on console, enjoyed the heck out of it. Wonder if my account is still valid. Do I have a Smite account? And if so, will my characters from Smite 1 transfer over to Smite 2? All of these and more will be answered as we get more information, but if you're excited for Smite 2 like I am, feel free to leave a comment down below. One of my most anticipated games of the year, Helldivers 2, had a trailer this week, and it was all about the PC specs for the game, and more importantly for me, the crossplay. So you'll be able to play crossplay, you'll be able to shoot your friends as bugs attack you in Helldivers 2 on February 8th. But you'll be able to do it across platforms, which for a co-op shooter, like you would expect to be able to play, like there's no PvE or there's no PvP portion of it that would give PC an undue advantage. So yeah, just being able to run around and shoot bugs with your friends on all platforms would be great. I'll probably pick it up on console, but I'll be glad to know that if any of my friends pick it up on PC, that we can play together. So hopefully that works out well for it, and I'm very excited for that coming in February. All my friends at Warner Brothers have got to be excited. Big news this week was that Hogwarts Legacy was the biggest game of last year. I think based on some of the sales figures I saw throughout the year, it was going to be a pretty big uphill battle to like beat out Call of Duty, for Call of Duty to beat it. But apparently they didn't. So as someone who, as I say every year, is excited to not see Call of Duty at the top of the lists, very excited to see Hogwarts Legacy, a game that I did not get all the way through, but was very excited for, and and hopped on to the train for. So, and even I think I had my name in the credits, but I digress. But very excited to see that it sold 22 million units and ended up being the biggest game of 2023. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Activision and Call of Duty. Moving right along, Sony and Nintendo are working together, but not like you think. Sony Pictures is helping to produce the Legend of Zelda movie. So I know there's been a lot of buzz around that, especially around casting last year. But Nintendo is supposedly working with Sony Pictures in order to bring the Legend of Zelda to the big screen. So excited to see that. Hopefully we get some of that kind of Spider-Man glow up that Sony's been doing so well with the Spider-Man series. Just kind of excited to see what they do and how they help with the Legend of Zelda movie. Unfortunately, we have some pretty sad news this week. It seems that the new year is not, people are not free from job loss. They're getting cuts across the gaming and tech sector. Discord announced this week that nearly 20% of their workforce has been laid off, about 170 employees. Amazon Prime, even though Amazon was in the top 10, I think, of Forbes' most profitable companies last year, they still cut 500 people from Amazon Prime, even after raising the Amazon Prime cost, which is interesting there. Although we've all kind of slowly figured out that streaming is not as profitable as people would have hoped and expected. And last and not least of the people who, and not glorifying job loss, but just wanted to keep you informed that Unity has lost almost 1,800 employees. And that's coming off of 3 rounds of layoffs in 2023. All these companies are citing like big bloat during the pandemic. I mean, there are a lot of different gaming and tech and entertainment in general saw increases in the pandemic era, and now that we're kind of getting out of that, they have to cut down, which depending on how you feel about that, could be good or bad. But anyway, I just think it's kind of weird that like all these studios that used the pandemic income and then immediately spent that on to bring on employees and increased for the treadmill of infinite growth. Now the Reaper has come for people, nearly 2,000 people this week. So unfortunately, if you know anybody at any of those companies, you got to reach out to them to see hopefully that they made it through. But yeah, it's sad to see that we're not. I think hopefully by the end of the fiscal, maybe in April, we'll see the end of this as the slimming down happens. But I don't think we're through the woods yet as far as losing employees across tech and gaming and entertainment. Moving right along, something else that's happening this week is the Consumer Electronics Show, or also known as CES, is happening. This is a great time to see all the peripheral companies like Razer and all kind of show off their new and latest hardware and tech. The first one of which I want to talk about is the Apple VR headset was announced this week. Pre-orders will go live next week, and I think it launches in February. And whereas VR has been kind of a race to the bottom to both eliminate like difficulty putting on a VR headset as well as like how much it costs, Apple doesn't care about any of that, and they have a $3,500 headset that probably has to pair to your iPhone or something like that. Like knowing Apple, and it'll have like an exclusive charging station for it that only works on them. No, I don't know any more details other than the pre-order dates and the launch dates, but and the price tag, which I think is quite astronomical, and I'm surprised that at $3,500, I'm curious what bells and whistles Apple is putting into this thing to think that they can justify that, and that there'll be a market big enough to support it. I'm really curious what they're gonna do with that. Another thing that I saw this week was I found out that apparently 3M, what I know of as like the 3M strips that you like put on your walls, that 3M, they made a headset. They made a gaming headset, a peripheral for gaming. They made a headset that will be solar powered and supposedly won't ever need to be plugged in, which is awesome to see. I think as someone who literally has their headphones constantly attached by a wire, I would love to live in an era where it doesn't need to be plugged in or charging anywhere, and that I could wear my headphones around the apartment, and they would stay charged at all points. So I'm not excited for the 3M ones. I think they actually kind of look a little tacky and ugly. But I'm excited for hopefully that technology, or like people to spoof that. Maybe I'll get a Razer headset that's solar powered, but just kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, why can't we do this with a solar powered gaming controller or a solar powered headset, so that we don't have to constantly be plugging these things into walls or plugging batteries into it, God forbid. So yeah, I'll have a link down below. You can check out that headset for yourself. Seems the folks at Behavior, the company behind Dead by Daylight, are not exclusively searching for 80s horror IP. Coming off of Alan Wake's big year last year, and one of the games I was most excited for in 2023, Alan Wake is actually coming to Dead by Daylight, which I think is very, very much in line with what they do. Like, it just seems like a match made in heaven. Alan Wake runs around with his flashlight. There's already a flashlight in Dead by Daylight. The whole like dark presence versus whatever the heck goes on in the official like Dead by Daylight canon in the death area. I'm just kind of excited to see like the Dark Place and Cauldron Lake and Bright Falls, some redone in Dead by Daylight. So match made in heaven, and I'm very excited to see Alan Wake come to. Last but not least, a pretty cool indie game that I saw this week. Looks pretty exciting. It looks and it feels like Doom. So it's a first-person shooter. It's got like the same kind of, I think it's even built in like the Doom engine. It's got the same kind of look and the pixelated look to it. So it's an FPS. It's very demonic and hellish. It's even more like twisted, demented hellish than like even the bright, glossy demons are in Doom. And it also has some cool RPG mechanics that seems like that you're going to slowly build up to and be able to take on bosses, even boss fights. The game's called Divine Frequency, and yeah, it's a first-person shooter, kind of the 8-pick low poly art style of like a Doom, but the freaking creature design is like super unsettling. Like it's pretty creepy. Like it's like more hellish and Hellraiser-ish and metal and dark than even Doom was with its demons running around. So caught my eye this week. Thought it looked pretty cool. So let me know if you check it out. I'm excited for it. I think there's a demo out, and the demo came out a couple months ago, but just now reached my feed. So looking forward to potentially checking that out sometime soon. But that's it for this week. Let me know if you feel I forgot anything down below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!